Hello and welcome back to another chapter here in this book. This is, of course, Storytime with me, Katie Kinzy Bay. Hello, how are you? Hope you're all doing fantastic. Today's chapter, we're going to stray a little bit from the beaten path. As you can see from the shirt, this is going to be the story of the first AEW show I went to. Now, this was back in 2019, before the pandemic happened and the world shut down. This was also the first non-WWE show I went to, which was... it was an interesting time. I grew up, obviously, on WWE. I had been watching AEW, so of course I was like, oh, well, I'll go. And yes, at the time, I was a very, very big Young Bucks fan. If you know me now, that is currently not the case. But back then, that was 4 years ago at this point, guys, I was a very big Young Bucks fan, so that was kind of one of the reasons I decided to go. This was also the first show I went to by myself. I didn't have my mom, I didn't have any friends, nothing. I was just like, I want to go. I bought myself a ticket. This was a few months after I graduated college, which, that's a whole story in itself. But I was just like, I'm going to treat myself. This is something I love to do. Little did I know that I would be going to many, many, many shows after this, just in general, not just AEW. But this was a good time. I was very nervous. I even tweeted about it. Like, I got my ticket and I'm nervous, but excited to see my faves. And, it was my first show by myself. And, I said all that in a tweet. And Cody Rhodes, of all people, retweeted it. And he was like, oh, if you see Katie, say hi. Da-da-da-da-da. We'll get back to Cody. He plays into this later. But, it was a fun time. I got to see some pretty cool matches. This was also the beginning, really, of AEW. They weren't even a year deep. They weren't even a few months deep. This was October of 2019. So they probably realistically only had a handful of shows at the time, and then they were like, oh hey, let's go to Pittsburgh. And I'm happy they did. And this wouldn't be the last time they come to Pittsburgh, obviously. But regardless, it was a great time. This was back when Private Party was being utilized very well, and I don't know if it was, again, the week before or 2 weeks before, but when they eliminated the Young Bucks, who basically created the company, they eliminated them in the first round of that tag team tournament to determine the first ever AEW tag team champions. I did get to see the eventual winners of that tournament, SCU. I got to see the Lucha Bros for the first time, which is always a good time. The Lucha Bros are fantastic. I got to see the Dippin' Dots thing. That was when Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes were feuding, and MJF was on Team Cody Rhodes, which, thinking about that alone is ridiculous. But, Cody punched a hole in the glass with MJF's scarf, and the jazz holes, I think they were the Inner Circle at the time, which, again, the fact that Chris Jericho's been in so many I'm not gonna rant about it. But I did get to see that. They fought in the concourse, and JR famously said something about Dippin' Dots. So that was that show. I got to see that. And DDP showed up as like the fourth man for the Nightmare family. Remember when they were the Nightmare family? Oh my god. Just thinking about where AEW was 4 years ago is insanity. I mean, now you have Cody Rhodes, who is arguably one of the most over people in WWE right now. But this show was him trying to fight to get that AEW World Heavyweight Championship, which also wasn't a thing yet. Wow, it's so crazy to just like think about all of that stuff. But another cool thing that I got to see was Jamie Hayter debuting in AEW. And ironically enough, but also not ironically enough, her opponent was Britt Baker. Now, if you look at the history between the two of them, it just like, it's insane that it kind of like ended up like this. Jamie Hayter's debut in AEW, Jamie Hayter returning in AEW, also happened in Pittsburgh, so it's just like, Pittsburgh loves Jamie Hayter. Which is true, we do love Jamie Hayter. And of course, Britsburg, of course she would win her match. And also, I was like reading up on it because I didn't remember all of the matches, and it said that Brandy Rhodes attacked Jamie Hayter after the fact when Jamie was getting interviewed, which that sentence alone is so strange, because you do have to remember Brandy Rhodes was an in-ring competitor at one time. We don't really have to think about it a lot. We're just gonna move on. I do remember the last match was Pac, or Pac, however anybody wants to pronounce it, and Jon Moxley. And I do remember it was the main event, and Justin Roberts was counting down the time, like, for TV time to end, and the match didn't end. Like, on TV, the match ended in a draw, but the two of them kind of just, like, kept beating the shit out of each other while after all of that. And I do remember Mox, I think, ended up, like, not necessarily beating him, but, because, you know, the match was over and it didn't really count anymore. But I have, like, vague memories of that. So, that was, like, the show itself. They filmed stuff for Dark, which obviously is no longer a thing anymore. But they did stuff for that before the show. And a little bit after, they filmed stuff for BTE there. One of my friends actually got one of the chairs that was used in a street fight after the fact, so that was kind of cool. Oh, she wasn't my friend at the time. I knew of her, but didn't know her personally. And now every AEW show I go to, I end up seeing her, and we take our yearly picture together. But one of the cool things was, after it was all said and done, you know, Cody Rhodes was kind of just, like, hanging out, taking pictures with people and all of that stuff. I was not on the floor. I was kind of up and away. I do remember I had, like, the camera crane continuously in front of my face, which sucked. I learned my mistakes. I did not do that anymore. But at the time I didn't know, because it was the first time I was at that venue for a show like this, and the first time I was in that venue in general. But after that, after everything was said and done, people were leaving. I actually went down. I was not stopped. I kind of just snuck my way down and waited with, like, a group of people at the very end of the barricade towards, like, the right. If you're looking at the stage, it was, like, to the right of the stage, and there was just a group of us, and it was the kind of last, like, hoorah, because security was like, all right, Cody, like, you gotta hurry up, you gotta get this done. And Cody Rhodes, being the nice man that he is, people can give shit to Cody Rhodes, but, like, he did stay for about 98% of us, as long as he could. I was one of the last ones he ended up getting to. He also called me beautiful, which, like, just made me so happy. I was in, not this AEW shirt, I couldn't get to the AEW shirt I wore, and, like, a beanie, because it was October, it was a little chilly. I did get a selfie with Cody Rhodes, which was awesome. That was also my Twitter profile picture for the longest time. Because I was just like, you know what? I gotta flex this. I gotta flex the fact that I met Cody Rhodes, you know? Because, again, at the time, he was the guy or one of the guys in AEW. And we obviously know how that went. Clearly. But yeah, the first AEW show was a time. It's fun to kind of reminisce and think back 4 years ago. Again, this was before I was doing a podcast. This was before I had a ton of wrestling friends. So this was a fun time. And obviously, thinking back to all of the AEW shows and all of the friends I've met and everything. Humble beginnings to say the least. But I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little blurb of history, the first little AEW chapter. There will be a few more AEW chapters throughout this storybook here. Let me know if there's anything specific you want me to do a story time about in the wrestling world. If you have questions about anything, you guys know you can follow me on Twitter. It's right here, KatieWrestling13. Linktree in my bio, take it all things ShElite Showcase. You know, twitch.tv/ShElite Showcase, typically Thursdays 6 p.m. Eastern. YouTube.com/ShElite Showcase, which you're currently watching on. Feel free to give us a like, subscribe, comment. You can comment on this video if there's anything you want me to talk about wrestling-wise that I've done, pay-per-views I've been to, people I've met, if I've met any. Feel free to just ask, and if I've done it and I can remember enough information about it, I'll do a story time on it. But for the other podcasts, you can listen on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. And, we do a plethora of shows over here. ShElite Showcase is the weekly show that we do. Inside the Mind of is an interview series I do. You can check out all the past ones. There's been over 20. You can check those out. Savannah, my co-host, has her 2 shows. Obviously, this In the Crowd is on a hiatus. I don't know if it'll actually return. To be determined. But we do a plethora of things over here. Vlogs you can check out. I just appreciate you guys hanging with us and me for going on 3 years of just me. 2 years of ShElite Showcase. So this is kind of just like a thank you. Obviously, we're not at the time frame yet of hitting these anniversaries, but it means a lot. And having this platform kind of opened me up to doing stuff like this. Random short YouTube content that I didn't expect to be doing. But I hope people appreciate it and they like it. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Until next time. Bye-bye.